Hello and welcome to Talkin Jake. Myself, Jake Stromboli, BBD, catching up on the world of baseball. I want to check in on some of the division races, see if we see any sauce there. A little under a week after the deadline, see what else we can dig up from that. I was going to save this like this was something to be saved. It's been so funny. We've been looking forward to the trade deadline for so long. Like, it's All-Star break, deadline, who's in, who's out. Look at today, Monday, August 5th. If you remember, this baseball season also started early. We got a March start this year. Season ends September 28th. 8 weeks of regular season baseball, right? August 5 on the calendar. Season ends September 28th. Looked at an actual calendar, 8 weeks to go of regular season baseball. So still a lot of fun stuff to be decided this season. The NL wildcard race has become a fun one. We'll see if the AL either becomes a couple-team race or does everyone come back to the pack. We'll dive into that a little bit. The divisions are interesting to me right now because there's a couple that are close, and then the ones that aren't, I want to see what might feel closer than it is. And then maybe a little Olympics at the end. I got into it this weekend. I feel like this was it was almost too hot out, so it was like, hey, let's watch actual live Olympics instead of the event of the night. Which, no shots fired at the Olympics for running them later because I've still been watching. We'll do the baseball first before we deep dive into that. But God, football's coming, people. I got my fantasy football draft this weekend. Daniel Jones has some facial hair. Looks really good. So that's exciting. There will be more of that to come. Hey, maybe comment if you might know. Let's see, what would be the comp here? It's tough because we work with Pennick and Bobby, who are really good football guys. But I don't know, if there was a foolish Bailey of football that you guys wanted some content from, I guess comment below. Let me know. Would love to reach out and interact with some good people because, as some of you may know, or if you're new, hey, thank you. Subscribe. 20.8K subs now. Pretty cool. I'll round up to 21. But yeah, with football, like I don't have that deep football knowledge. I guess with baseball, I do and I don't. With baseball, I have enough more than your average bear. With football, I'm very much bar talk level conversation, which some people like. I'd like to get into some of the DVOA stuff and some of that more, but not my lane. A lot of eye test. And football's football. A lot of people here at Talkin Jake may know I thought I was worried about losing football altogether because it starts in baseball season, but that Sunday routine of it comes pretty nicely. Anyways, what was that? Let's talk some baseball and checking in on the divisions, and I want to start with my AL East, where the New York Yankees and the Baltimore Orioles are lining up for, I think, one of the more fun stretches we have seen. My New York Yankees, they just went through a losing stretch. It was a bad time. They were the worst team in baseball for over a month. We hated that. We've seen that in previous seasons, and it really, really made us miserable. The pitching gave out. The hitting gave out. The bullpen, kind of part of the pitching that had given out. And the Yankees had a deadline. I know we wanted more, especially when there was Jack Flaherty rumors. Seeing Mark Leiter Jr. has been pretty cool. That's a guy that, in a hold situation, Yankee fans are feeling comfortable with. So that's a guy on the back end of the bullpen. They also had Jake Cousins has kind of come onto the scene as a perfect, 6th, 7th inning. If you're up 3 runs, I think Yankees fans would feel good about him right now, or down 1. That's kind of a key guy to have in the bullpen. Can you keep a game close, or if you're not ready to go to your A pen, do you have that?
If the game matters but doesn't all the way matter,
right?
Good option.
And him and Mark Leiter Jr. punched tickets out there, which the Yankees desperately needed in their bullpen. So Garrett Cole, Yankee fans had an unnecessary scare with that, and I don't think we're out of the woods They skipped a start because he said he had tummy problems. Came out, looked kind of meh, recovered well, and his velo and everything was there. So, like...
Yeah, overall, like, the velocity numbers were there, even if he didn't look his nastiest. And at the end of the day, it's a 5.2 turn, didn't walk anybody start. Like,
yeah, I mean, in the rotation, you're hoping for more from Cole.
By the time the playoffs come, I don't think Yankee fans should be worried about him not being where he's supposed to be by then.
Well, I think part of what's going to be interesting there is where is Garrett Cole at? Rodon is kind of surging again, which is exciting for Yankee fans. You feel like you're going to have one of Heel and Cole feeling peak of their powers. Heel had a rough stretch, got through it. Stroman has been deep on the struggle bus. Nestor has been on the struggle bus. A couple signs of bouncing back. The Yankees' schedule really eases up. Angels, Texas, Chicago White Sox over the next week and a half. And I don't know, man. I guess during that Yankees bad stretch, all these Yankee fans had a lot of dark thoughts creep in because we've seen it the past couple years. It's pretty cool looking at their team page today. Yankees first in runs. First in on-base percentage. Second in OPS. That's really good. And I guess Yankee fans were pretty hot to trot before they started playing terrible baseball. I don't know. There was just something, seeing Judge, seeing Soto, now that they've got pieces around it that something is going to click, whether it's Jazz, whether it's Giancarlo, the next level of Verdugo, Glaber. Austin Wells has been playing really good baseball. It feels like Anthony Volpe, my God, down in the lineup, Anthony Volpe has been a really good baseball player. And the Yankees, some conversations we haven't leaked into on Talkin Yanks yet. We kind of did the tip of the iceberg, but there's reinforcements coming. It's just we don't know what they are. Jose Trevino, when he left, he was in a full-time platoon as catcher. Rizzo was supposed to be a guy. He's kind of been supplanted. Is that a word?
Supplanted?
Surpassed? Maybe both.
Sure.
John Birdie in a role. I don't know if you can get excited about that. Jason Dominguez, the Martian. So it's going to be interesting to see as those veterans get healthy. The Martian is playing, and he's had some good games, and he would fill a need. It's going to be interesting to see how this Yankees roster rounds out the year. But, man, something about Judge and Soto. Judge fully blown getting the intentional walk treatment this past series was like, wow, that's what we're watching now. And the guy that hits in front of him is just as good. So if they get any other support from the lineup, which I think they've shown at this point they will, excited about our Yanks, especially in an AL where things aren't clear. We've done the whole Yankees, Houston, Baltimore. We'll get to the Central, too.
The other Yankee stat that's kind of stuck out to me as they're starting to come out of the bad times, and we've had a complicated relationship with this stat, but they have the best run differential in all of baseball, and it's by a lot. Sure. Like, I know there's a few games, and we've discussed it, like maybe blowouts that should be capped at like a 6 or 7 or something, right. But I think even with those, it's not like a crazy number of... I recall like 3 games they won by 10.
Yeah, not a lot of silly ones. Like not a lot of like, oh, it's 20-2.
I don't think it's getting like juice. So it's like when I've noticed that throughout this, I'm like, huh, okay. Well, a lot of comfortable wins.
Speaking of juice, the team they'll be racing with down the stretch is your Baltimore Orioles, who they are first in OPS, they are second in runs, and they are first in home runs. So that Orioles offense has been clicking all year. Colton Cowser in their outfield. He's got a hit streak going. Guy got off to a hot start to the season. Kind of blended in with those Orioles. He got a slow during the middle of the season. Is he a trade piece for them? Feels like everyone kind of is. He's been towards the top of their lineup, and he's putting together a really nice season. Former first-round pick, 5th overall. So, again, these guys aren't like... These Orioles guys are real deal Holyfield. Checked out Adley's numbers on the year and was a little surprised where they're at. Wouldn't be surprised if he's got more in the tank coming. He had a nice series over the weekend. And the biggest story, Jackson Holliday, the top prospect who gets called up for the first time, really struggles, sent down. He gets called up against the Guardians and has a massive series. So, wherever you land on Jackson Holliday's potential, never mind Kobe Mayo, who they call up, only the 21st prospect in baseball, as a potential infield option for them. Their lineup could potentially be tapping into more. Jordan Westburg out for them, who was having a really nice year. So there's that. And they added pieces to their bullpen. Let's see how it comes together for them. Sir Anthony and Soto come over from Philly. And Kimbrel. Did they just have Philly's bullpen last year? What's that about? Kind of funny how front offices work. Eflin trade is working out well for them. He's just giving them standard starts. Trevor Rogers, let's see. But man, Corbin Burns has arguably been the best pitcher in the AL. He has the most quality starts. This is going to be an absolute dogfight. I'm trying to remember. I guess AL East-wise, Bieberton, can you remember the last AL East title race? Is that a dumb statement?
Down the stretch, the race was intense.
Yeah, let's see. MLB standings. This is something I probably should have looked up. And Fangraphs is fighting my computer. Great.
Amazing, because
we'll get BBD on research and development for that.
22, they sort of ran away with it last year. Looking into it.
Last year, the Rays had the perfect April.
Yes.
But then the Orioles cooked. I don't know. I feel like we haven't had a true...
The Orioles ended up winning it by 2 games.
2 games, so I'd have to relive how tight that was.
How we got there.
Yeah. 22, Yankees won by 7 games. 21, Rays won by 8 games. 2020, Rays somehow won by 7 games in the shortened season. 2019, Yankees won by 7.
With that.
2018, Sox won by 8.
Yeah, that was an awesome race until they ended the season in August.
So 2017, Red Sox win by 2 games. So, again, it's tough to feel how those emotions were in the moment. But, yeah, I think the Yankees and the Orioles have an argument for the 2 most talented teams in the American League. They're currently tied atop the AL East. The Yankees are the Yankees. Hate them or love them. Underdogs on top. Fitty. The Orioles have this young core that I know baseball just does not work like this. But, again, they just called up Jackson Holliday, number 1 prospect in baseball. They just called up Kobe Mayo, number 21 prospect that's Orioles fans would say this, but he's a blip on their radar because they've called up Adley and Gunnar and now Jackson. This could be the start of something. We saw these 2 teams brawl this year. And I hope it doesn't come down to oh my God, this injury, that injury, which I feel like baseball has gotten to a point where there's a lot of that. We're set up for a really good wire-to-wire Orioles-Yankees finale, which is going to be massive. One of those teams is going to be a wild card team. You've got to win 2 out of 3 at home to save your season. And who are those games going to be against? Which brings me out west to the other divisional race. I do owe my Seattle Mariner fans an apology, if not a follow-up apology. Me and Foolish, I think we ended up being a little too harsh on your guys' deadline. I respect it more than I think I let on. You guys need to add hitting, and you did some of that. Randy has an argument to be one of, if not the best hitter added at this deadline. Justin Turner came over, had the best on-base percentage on the team, always hits. Feels like a Seattle icon. I keep saying that. I feel like Justin Turner's going to have a coffee shop in Seattle pretty soon. It's going to be a popular place. We'll see if they win a playoff series. Absolutely, especially if he has the big hit. Feel like that's going to happen. the Seattle Mariners are in first place in the AL West. They're one game up on the Houston Astros. The Astros just lost a set to the Rays. They've got the Texas Rangers coming out. Houston, man, they've got some weird stuff going on. I know the hitting's been there all year. Kyle Tucker, there was just a weird quote that came out from manager Joe Espada that was like, we'd love to see him in August, but we don't know if we will. I think everyone assumed it was going to be quicker than that. If you go look at their offensive numbers, Yordan's Yordan, which is just crazy that kind of happens every year. Kyle Tucker still leads that team in WAR, and he's been out for a while. Altuve's numbers are still great, but they're not where you might expect them. Altuve's OPS as of today stands at 795. Alex Bregman stands at 714. So I know he got off to a slow start, so he's been a lot better recently. But when you look at the Astros on paper right now, I know Yainer Diaz has run into a hot stretch. No one with an OPS in the 8s. It's Yordan in the 9s. And then Altuve and Yainer are above league average. Bregman and Pena are close. That this offense that all year has kind of stayed around the top. There's some thin parts in the lineup right now, whether that's Myers, Singleton, Dubon, McCormack, Victor Caratini. Wee, wee, wee. The pitching, on the other hand, which has been the weakness this year, has started punching tickets. I think I saw some double-digit strikeouts in a lot of games for their pitching staff. So, young Spencer Arrighetti, he just put together a good one. Verlander threw a bullpen the other day. He expects to do 2 rehab stints. If this is what I've said it again, I'm probably going to say it again. If this Houston Astros team wasn't named the Houston Astros team, I don't think I would be in on them. But you have to respect the track record. Because, God, if they sneak in, even if they don't sneak in, they could be dominant the rest of the way. If they find a way to the dance, they're going to be one of the most feared teams in the tournament. Do we want to call it a tournament? Bracket?
Yeah, I guess
playoffs?
I guess bracket is accurate. Like tournament, it technically is one.
Right.
Playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that. I think we did this last year, too. I'll go playoffs.
No one will yell at you for playoffs.
Yeah. Seattle, the hitting scares me, but you guys just went on a run. I think they were scoring 7 runs per game for about a week. I think there's some White Sox involved in that. And they finished with a shutout against the Phillies and Zach Wheeler, but he's in contention for the NL Cy Young yet again. Hey, I want to believe Seattle. I really do. Man, where are Julio's stats on the year? Crazy that they're still where they are. Man, I was going to give the same speech. Mitch Haniger has been hitting since the All-Star break. Maybe that's something they can bank on. They need one of the Mitches, Mitch Haniger or Mitch Garver. Kind of a funny name. Mitch. Dive more into that later. Jorge Polanco had been bad for them. He's put a couple games together, and he's back. Again, with that Mariners lineup, you can look at it as upside, that if they start getting anything, it's really exciting. They had a 5-run comeback, which for their struggling offense, that's a big feeling. If everything I knew in my brain was excluded, I'd have Mariners as the clear favorite horse. The other thing to watch out with these two teams, if they don't pick it up soon, it's division or bust. Right now in the wild card, Houston is 5 games back. It's 8 weeks to go. Like, I think, obviously, we watched these Seattle Mariners give up a 10-game lead in 21 days. So baseball can happen. But they really need to start chopping into that now before it gets any closer. The Minnesota Twins and the Guard Dogs and the Royals should be thrown in that mix. Actually, you know what are very similar division standings right now. The NL West and the AL Central. The Guardians are on top. They've been on top for a while. Same with the Dodgers. The Padres are 4.5 games back. The D-backs are 5. In the AL Central, the Twins are 4.5 back. The Royals are 5. So literally the same distance apart. Cleveland has been there the whole time. I would really be shocked. Well, I guess when I initially said I want to do the rankings of division confidence, the Milwaukee Brewers are my number 1. The Cardinals, Pirates, Cubs, and Reds have given me nothing to believe in all year. The Brewers are on a 3-series losing streak, so I guess watch out to see if that tailspin gets worse. But those other teams have given me nothing to believe in. Meanwhile, in the Central this year, the Royals have beat up on the Central, which that's good. That's your division. More power to you. The Twins have had some ebbs and flows this year. I guess you would say, if you're being honest, do the Minnesota Twins have a better chance to catch the Guardians than either of the NL West teams? Yeah. They're the Dodgers. Mookie's going to come back at some point. Shohei. They've got the bodies there. But man, do the Padres and D-backs look good right now. Those teams both have the juice, as I like to label it. And again, this Padres run has been without Fernando, that if he comes back with piss and vinegar. Also, Martin Perez, kind of a late deadline move by San Diego. He has a good start this week, and they've been looking for another body in their rotation that his innings could come up being very valuable. Eduardo Rodriguez for the Diamondbacks. He's coming back this week. Could his innings be E-Rod level innings? Sometimes it's tough to come back mid-season, especially after an injury. Maybe he's there, he's revitalized and ready to go. Maybe he's not ready and gets knocked around. But the Snakes, let me get my Perdomo stat because I saw it earlier. When Perdomo has been in the lineup this year for the Diamondbacks, they are 30-18. That's pretty good. That lines up a little bit with Alec Thomas and some of their pitching returning. And I did see a good comment that Bailey, Foolish Bailey, wasn't enthused about the Snakes' deadline. And someone was like, man, the Snakes, they're banking on their own starting pitching to come back, so they went out and they got relievers. And they did. I mean, it might not be San Diego's Adam and Tanner Scott, but them going out, sorry, just lost my page again. Them going out, AJ Puck, I think reliever-wise, is going to go toe-to-toe with anyone at this deadline. He came in and got an emergency save the other day. And Dylan Floro doesn't give up homers on that sinker, so do with that what you will. I don't think either of these teams can reel in the Dodgers. They're the Dodgers, right? The Dodgers win the division every year. Literally. That it stinks to think that way. I do think it's honest. And let's see where they're at. I mean, Freddie has been gone and dealing with some real stuff. I don't know if you've seen any of that, but his son had a weird neurological disorder that I think, knock on wood, I think they got in touch with the right people and they're doing some good steps, but it's like crazy stuff. Like, I think his kid has to like relearn how to walk and stuff. Like, yeah,
it's a thing that happens, and like you just like stop working for a little while.
Nuts. So imagine that going on in your life. So that the vaunted top of that Dodgers lineup, Freddie's been out dealing with some real life ish. Mookie's been hurt for a while. That Gavin Lux has been hitting 3 for them. The bottom half of their lineup right now, it lists Nick Ahmed as their shortstop and Kevin Biggio as their first baseman. That'll change soon, but it'll be interesting to see if the Padres, with all the momentum in the world, the Snakes, who haven't lost a series in their last 10, can they get close enough to the Dodgers to make it feel like a race? Because this might be obnoxious outside stuff, but the Dodgers have been so dominant in that division, it's hard to believe that any of those teams could reel them in. where the Minnesota Twins in the AL Central, we've seen that franchise be able to come on top of that division, as recent as last year. They got into the playoffs, and they really haven't been at full tilt because their best player, Royce Lewis, he's been out. He came back. He drove an Oppo homer the other day. Buxton's been playing well, ran into the wall in center, which I think everyone's like, dude, we can't do that. You can't do that at this point, Buck Daddy. That lineup looks good. I hate that I laugh when I say it, but again, I'm too close to the Trevor Plouffe situation. If everyone's being honest, you would think the Twins have a better shot to track down the Guards, and it's a big week for the Guardians because they play the Twins. It's a fun Central week and a half. Twinkies have the Cubs, Guards, and Royals. And, I've left the Royals kind of out of this whole conversation, which is just a little bit rude. For Cleveland, they have Arizona. Reminder, Arizona has not lost their last 10 series. This will be a fun test for them. And Cleveland, it's just kind of bizarre, man. Their upcoming rotation for this Snake Series, Cleveland, who has the best record in the AL, and I feel like deserves a little more respect, it's Logan Allen, Ben Lively, and Cookies Carrasco. Like that.
Love that.
Versus Zach Gallen, Erod, and Brandon Pfaadt. So, hey, I know it's a lot more than a starting pitching game at this point. Very interesting week for them because after Arizona, like I mentioned, it's Minnesota. Let's see where that's at. I think the only division that I've truly left out is the beautiful NL East, where the Phillies are going through hard times for maybe the first time this season. As they continue their West Coast trip, they head to the Dodgers. That'll be fun to watch. Nola Glasnow tonight. Trevor Plouffe in the building. Like that. God, let's see how that series goes. And then they go for 4 against Arizona in the desert. Who, I don't know. When things get out of control in a baseball season, we saw the Yankees be the worst team in baseball for a month. The Braves dropping their last 2 to the Marlins. Would have been interesting if we saw the Braves 5 games out today. It sits at 6. The Braves still haven't had, the good juju kick in. They haven't had Matt Olson go completely nuts, which he's capable of. It's been Ozuna. Solaire's in right field tracking down balls. It's either one of those Braves teams that Braves fans are going to look back at in 3 years and be like, what were we doing? Solaire was playing right field and leading off every day. Or Arcia started to hit really well. If their big guys could click into gear while the Phillies are still reeling and make them feel that, Max Fried just came back. It was a bad first start. I guess the NL East was part of this exercise that made me want it to be an exercise was, I guess, least confident divisions. Let's see. The AL East. AL East and the AL West. What do I have the most confidence in happening? I think Yankees, Orioles is pure toss-up. Okay, my least confident would be the AL East. I don't know if the Orioles or Yanks are going to win the division. I have no clue. The Yanks are the Yanks. Judge is impossible. Same with Soto. They've got some serious options to click. They've got options that could kind of piss the bed again, and they'll have to figure that out along the way. The Orioles, it's built for the regular season. If Jackson Holiday is anything, built for the regular season was a little rude. Let's see them get a couple more reps in October, which they'll be getting.
We know it works for the regular season, and they have the depth that gets you through a regular season.
Just trying to fade Yankee fandom, you could point to run differential. I think this is teed up to be an incredible race down the stretch. It's as pick 'em as you could possibly be. I think in the AL West, again, if it was just this season, I think you'd just say Seattle. But you have to factor in these previous years. I know it's this year, but Houston, they got ghosts with them, man, in the best way. that I would lean that that's the second hardest division to decide. Ranking these in reverse, I guess. So if I think the AL East, coin flip. AL West, essentially a coin flip. You'd lean Houston because of the history. So then it would be, which contender do I think could get tracked down? It would come down to the Twins or the Royals catching the Guards, or it'd be the Braves or Mets catching the Phillies. You would lean, with the gap involved there, you would lean that the Phillies would be tougher to track down. After that, AL Central, Twinkies kick into gear. Dodgers are the Dodgers until they're not. And then the Brewers, just because not only have the Brewers been great, but man, none of the NL Central teams, I've given them all year. The Pirates said they were going to add at the deadline. They added. I think everyone was hoping for a little more. The Cardinals, they added Fetty. He got knocked around in his first start, minus 42 run differential. Cubs and Reds behind them. Just nothing to believe in. So, that was a weird ranking. Hope you liked it. That's baseball. I guess Olympics. They were fun to watch. I hope you guys have been tuning in. Saturday was especially fun. 100-meter men's. Still, the most clarification I got on it at the end of the night, because it looked, if not a tie, like how they decided it. Turns out it's your torso.
Torso, right?
Torso. And Lyle's torso was ahead, so he got it by milliseconds, literally. That was fun. There's a cool stat on that, like Americans have won it basically half the time. Nice. Sweet flex, America. What else did we get? The shot put was fun. Had a big, beefy American get that. The lady swimmers dominated. 4x1. Gymnastics. Always kind of weird. It's always crazy to me that different events are just going on at the same time. Like, is everyone just watching the same thing? I'm trying to think, were there any oddball Olympic events that kind of took everyone's eyes? What have you been watching? I don't know. The beach volleyball under the Eiffel Tower was great. Got to watch some of that last night. Ping pong, not really. When's the next USA men's basketball game?
I can find that out.
Need to watch that. I am excited. Going to Nashville this weekend. Annual fantasy football trip. Excited for that. Saturday is supposed to be the basketball championship game, so if the USA is there, it'd be a really fun sporting event to watch.
Looks like they play Brazil in the quarterfinal tomorrow at 3:30.
In the afternoon?
Looks like afternoon, 3:30 p.m.
That's huge. Hey, I'm going to be on.
Bruno Caboclo on the team.
What's that?
Bruno Caboclo's on
Brazil.
Opened up their roster and recognized one name.
Brazil. Who used to be from there? Was Nene Hilario Brazilian? I think so.
I think Nene was Brazil.
They had another guy. I think there was a big man out of BYU, Rafael Arroyo. I'm going to be honest with you guys. For how much Olympics I watched, I thought I was going to have more to say. I really don't.
Anderson Varejao, Thiago
Varejao was
Splitter.
electric. Leandro Barbosa.
Yep.
They had some teams. Thiago Splitter, that's right.
Fab Melo played for them, R.I.P.
Oh. Well,
Lucas Nogueira.
Sorry I didn't have more on the Olympics, but enjoy at your own pleasure, whether that's in the afternoon, early morning, or recapping at night. Just don't open that Twitter. Hey, we will be back Wednesday, Dog Day season, and we'll see you guys soon. So, thanks, Dan.
Talkin Jake is a production of Dan Patrick Productions, John Boy Media, and Workhouse Media. I thought you'd like this meme.
Ho! I did like that. I do like that. Still do.